All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Talks with the Lady. I am your host, LaShawna Lady Brown, and it is a pleasure to be here this evening to be able to talk to you and share with you yet another one of our icons here in the surrounding area. All right. So without further ado, I am going to go ahead and add to the stage none other than Mrs. Kierra Anderson.
Hey,
Hello. How are you? Let's see. What happened? Okay, we're here. Can you
how
hear
can you see me? Because I feel like I'm on my phone and I'm looking. Okay, there I am. Hi,
me? Oh, yes, I see you, and you are so beautiful.
me.
So,
Thank you. So are you, girl. You've been slaying these last few episodes. I've been seeing
yes,
you, boo.
I have to do what I got to do when I can do it, honey.
Listen, I'm not mad at you.
Yeah, so it's one of those things I gotta get used to it and you know prepare myself to be on this platform. I can be Holly Berry by podcast and turn back around and be Michael Myers, honey, off the podcast.
Girl, you know how we all have those two different people, honey. Because I say,
Yeah,
listen, Facebook gets glam Kierra, but baby, in real life, honey, I don't have no eyelashes on. You might just catch me like, is that the same girl? Yes.
yes. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for joining the show. It is an honor, as you know, that you are one of my favorites. So we
I
are gonna
love
go ahead
it.
and we're gonna get started. Are you excited?
I am. I'm excited for you. First and foremost, I want to tell you thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
Me and you were So I'm
Right.
just one, I want to just tell you, I'm very proud of you for you taking the leap of faith and you
Mhm.
stepping out and operating in your purpose and your call. You can talk. So this is
Mhm.
very much up your alley. And
Right.
just seeing you and the last few shows that you've produced, I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
And it makes me happy that I can support your podcast. And
Yeah.
hopefully, girl, we chop it up and we change some lives, inspire some people.
Yes. Well, that is the goal. So that is why you were chosen because I know that we're gonna have some great conversation here tonight, honey. And we're gonna continue on and I just want to say again, thank you too for also being there for me to push me and to motivate me and not just this but other endeavors.
Yeah,
So I do appreciate that and I wanted to at least give you a public thank you.
you're so welcome.
Yes.
You're
All
so
right.
welcome.
All right, so sweetheart, we're going to go ahead and get started with this interview. And
Okay.
I have a few questions, but if we need to stop anytime throughout the interview, just feel free to just let me know. We can take like a
Okay.
30-second if you need
Let me
to.
tell you, I'm gonna take advantage of my breaks, honey. Because we'll be here for like 3 hours talking to you.
Yes, I know, but we're gonna just let it flow and whatever comes out because you
Absolutely.
know how it is with us. All
Absolutely.
right, so all right. So the first question that I have for you, Kierra, first and foremost, can you give our audience a little bit more insight of who you are and any other vital information that may be relevant to our discussion today?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So hi audience. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie.
It's
But
okay.
when LaShawna asked me to come on and do something on marriage, motives, I said, girl, you sure you want me to talk about this? But you guys, I'm honored. So my name is Kierra Anderson. I was born, raised Gainesville. And I am a realtor. I am a children's spa owner. I'm a mobile spa bus owner. I am a mother. And then I guess in terms of like the topic and what we're discussing tonight, some vital information you probably should know. I was married. I am now divorced.
Mm-hmm.
Yay! No, I'm kidding. I'm so kidding, guys. I'm so kidding. But I got married when I was 25 years old, and I was married for almost 4 years. And yeah, I learned a lot during that process. A lot in marriage. I was very young, but even more so. um, entering out of the marriage and going through the divorce process, and then having to learn again and having to go through life and start over again. I learned a lot. I learned a lot of valuable lessons. I do have
Mhm.
two beautiful kids that came out of that marriage. And so
Mhm.
I'm not just a single woman, I'm a single mother. And
Mhm.
it's been incredible. It's been an incredible journey. It has not been easy, it's been extremely hard.
Mhm.
But I just thank God for His grace. I thank God that His grace is sufficient. And
Right.
I still believe in marriage. I am very much a hopeless romantic. So I don't believe that just because one chapter ends with someone else, that you don't have the ability to start over again and find love again.
Right.
I'm much more intentional now. Things that I did not know going in, being
Mhm.
like, I was young. I was so
Right.
I think
Right.
about it, I'm like, oh my God, I was pregnant with two kids within the first 2 years. So it
Mhm.
was a lot, but I think that that's probably something you guys should know. I shared like a post years ago that actually like went viral, and it was about my moment when I first, met the other woman, the person who my ex husband decided to start over with. And I think when that post went public and it went viral, I had a lot of women reaching out to me, asking me like, for advice and how am I able to forgive? What are some of the steps that they should take? And keep in mind, like I'm still learning. I still go to therapy, y'all. I believe in therapy. But I think that a lot of like my experience,
Mhm.
I'm thankful for it because you don't realize how many people out there actually needs like guidance, and sometimes God allows you to go through certain things, probably not just for you, but it's also to help encourage other people that are going through the exact same process as you. So I'm
Right.
hoping that tonight's information and conversation, it
Mhm.
really is wrapped and centered around people being able to move forward and push forward. And so um, I'm evidence that you do not have to be broken, even if
Mhm.
you've experienced some brokenness at some point in your life. That you can pick up the pieces and you can move forward and you can move on.
Yes, and I am one of those individuals. That is how we began to know each other because I was going through the exact same thing
Yes,
during that time. And I was like, oh my God, I read this long post. And
a
when I
book,
tell you,
girl. It wasn't a post, girl. It was a book.
book,
Let's be
it was
clear.
it was a very long, lengthy, detailed book. And then, as a matter of fact, I think I read it 2 or 3 times because I was like, is this me? Am I typing it? Because it was the exact same story,
Yeah.
it was the reality of it,
You know
so
what? When I wrote that post, sometimes we feel like we're like the only person going through stuff. And
mhm,
like when I released that, I didn't realize like how many women, and not just women, men as well, that
right,
like are going through or have gone through the same experience. And so when you're going through stuff, you feel like, God, I'm the only person in the world. I don't know how I'm gonna. And I think me releasing that was also like healing. It helped me a lot in my healing journey,
right,
um, in terms of, like understanding that we overcome by the words of our testimony. You don't understand why at a time that God may allow you to share certain things. But I think that post really encouraged women to just, be okay, move on,
yeah, right, move forward.
forgive. And if you have to forgive every day,
Right,
okay?
right. Because that's where I was. I was like, okay, how I want to know now, what does she do? Like, how do you move forward?
Yes,
So I mean, I get it, but it was definitely a testimony for me, and I'm still believing because even I was used as a testimony for someone else. So through both of our experiences, we can like touch a lot of women, or better yet, a lot of men that also have been placed in that situation as well.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I'm very I don't look at these situations, the occurrences that happened. I don't look at them necessarily as bad, but
Yeah.
I look at it as like, okay, I got away, So, but how do I heal from it?
Hmm.
So, Kierra, now let me ask you a question. What does marriage mean to you? And like, what was your motive to marry? What was it about marriage that you just decided that okay, I want to get married. You were so excited and you were into it. But what motivated you?
First off, let me tell y'all, marriage is ghetto. That's the definition of it. Ghetto, okay, with a capital G. I'm playing, y'all. I'm playing. It is a little ghetto though. It is.
Yes.
But I told you I'm a hopeless romantic. So for me, marriage was it was a lot. You know, marriage by definition is a covenant. It's a union that you make before God. It's a partnership. Is being a team. It's like an unbreakable bond, an unbreakable, unconditional love. Like for me, marriage was a lot. It meant
Mhm.
legacy. It meant family. It meant oh my God, partnership,
Right.
collaboration. Like
Mhm.
I wanted to be like Superwoman with my, my husband. I wanted to be whoever God connected me with. I don't care. I wanted to take over the world because I believe, like the Bible says, that two are better than one.
One. Mhm.
And for me, it was, it was all of that. Like when I got married, it was literally a for better or for worse. And I'm so thankful. Like, okay, so I want to say this. Even though like my marriage like ended in divorce, I'm like so thankful because I had I got a chance to experience like unconditional love. I got a chance to experience like pure love. Like I had never loved anybody in like that capacity before, and I didn't even think that it was actually possible or that I was able to love someone like that. So to um, be able to love. Now I don't know if it was all the way reciprocated in that way,
Right,
but
right.
for me to be able to like know that you can love somebody in that capacity, um, sometimes I think it was a blessing and a curse at the same
At the
time.
same
But I
time.
saw
Mhm.
the beauty in it, and if I ever get a chance to experience that again, like there's a lot. I think marriage is beautiful. Okay, hold on, because I wrote down a lot of stuff. I wrote
Okay.
down because I wanted to make sure I hit on like what I actually believe. Like, so it's a covenant before God for me. It's partnership. It's collaboration. Two
Mhm.
people coming together. It's friendship. It's a lifelong commitment
Mhm.
of love and service. And the reason I say it's a lifelong commitment of love and service is because I think a lot of times people don't realize that marriage is really not just about you. Like we come with these laundry lists of things that the man got to have this, got to have that.
Right.
But honestly, like my marriage and what it taught me is like you are there to serve that other individual. Like,
Mhm.
so it's love, it's service, it's an unbreakable bond, it's union, it's like Tyler Perry said, I love this. You give up the eyes for we.
For we,
That's
right. We begin to speak French. We.
yes, it's two individuals operating as one.
And
Like the Bible says, two must become one. It's the blending of two lives. And it's the reflection of Christ's love for the church. And that's the thing. That's why I don't care what nobody say. Nobody can't tell me otherwise. I will always believe in the beauty, the sacredness of marriage because if you are in this lifetime and you truly get to experience that with someone, you are truly blessed. Like, and I believe a lot of people can experience that. I think we're driven by so selfish motives. So for me, it's all of that. And my reason for wanting to get married, even at that young age, like I knew, like I don't want to say that I had always wanted to be married. Like when I actually got married and I told my mom, like, I met my husband.
yes.
They looked at me like I was crazy because they didn't think like out of all their kids that I would probably be like career driven, focused, and I would be,
Mhm.
that was gonna come later for Kierra. So when um I actually met someone that I felt that, this is it. This is it, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I wanted family, I wanted legacy, I wanted all of those things. And I wanted to spend my life with someone. I wanted somebody to love me for me, every shortcoming that I had, every thing that is not so great about me and still see the beauty in me, and vice versa. I wanted to be able to love in that capacity, and I did. I truly did. I did. And
Right.
so I know that in due season I'll probably have a chance to love like that again, and I'm looking forward to it.
I think we go in with the mentality, we go in knowing, okay, this is it. This is what it's going to be. This is my life. This is my lifelong partner. Um, And then we have, like you say, we sit up in our minds and we start thinking, oh, I'm going to have this many kids. And now, let me just say, by the time I got ready to get married, I didn't realize I would be having any more kids, but I knew that it was a possibility because that's just something that your mate wants to share with his
Yeah.
wife, and wife wants to share with her husband. So I think we go in with all these big dreams, these visions, and we get
Mm-hmm.
so, okay, well, I'm ready to hurry up and get here to this point. And
Yep.
then but the one thing that I questioned myself on was that I allow my time, allow enough time to come between us to the point where we identified what we wanted together, because sometimes I think that we go in with the notion, but it's not really what they may want, or
Yes.
maybe they want to enjoy life a little bit more. At that point in time, you should probably never be married, but you know, I'm just saying, like, we go in and we already got it, like, from the honeymoon on. Okay, yes, I'm gonna get in here. I'm planning out my dinners. I'm planning
Yep.
out. This is how I'm gonna make sure that the bed is made a certain type of way. I'm gonna make. Oh, I gotta go set this up, set clothes out. We go in with all these high expectations, like,
Yeah.
and then only I think it hurts really bad because of what our dreams were, what our hopes were, is like a letdown.
Yeah.
Okay, you didn't want the exact same thing.
Yeah.
You go in with it, but I think what we fail to realize is we have to continue dating even after that. We move
Yeah.
so fast into the children.
I
Yes,
100%.
we move so fast into a lot of that. So, like, for me, my motive behind, or what I felt like marriage was getting in there. Boom, let's just go in here. Let's
Yeah.
go ahead and
Head first. Head
yep,
first.
we got to go ahead and get the kids out of the way. We got to yep, I'm gonna make and it's just, and that's where the disappointment, and then later on down the line, it's like we start having all these complications and so on and
Yeah.
so forth. But that is another
No,
question.
no, what you're saying is very much accurate. So, what I view as marriage is different than motives because
Right.
everybody has different, like, I have this long list of things that I believe marriage is. But
Hmm.
when I was 25 years old, like my ex-husband who I was married to, he was 10 or 11 years older than I was 25, he was 36 at the
Hmm.
time. And so um when I got married, and I'm going to caution people not to ever do this. We dated for like 3 months and jumped the broom. Like, we were like, oh,
Hmm.
this is it. There was really no time for us to really, truly, like, what should I say? Like, I guess get to,
Become more acclimated.
your screen is distorted. Okay. So there you are.
Is it
There was really, I think, like, the intentions were, uh, right, but there was no time. Like, you can have a good thing, but at the wrong time, especially if
right?
you rush things, because sometimes people aren't ready, and it could be for a lot of reasons. And sometimes you don't realize that they're not ready until you, like, are fully into it.
Hmm.
But I think that when you're talking about in terms of motives, like at 25, I was seeing, like, okay, he's offering stability, like,
Hmm.
um, he's already established. Because he was older than me, there was like this thing where, like, oh my God, the wisdom, and with me not growing up, me losing my father at a very young age,
Hmm.
I in turn, I preferred older men. Period. I don't know if that was just because there was something in them that, like, I don't even want to say a father figure, because I never looked at him as my father, but
Right.
it was the confidence and the that they walked into, and I just, there was a lot of reasons at that time, at that age, that I got married as well. So um now, like, I think at my age now, like 32, I can say that, like, going into a marriage now, my motives is a little bit different because I'm more established. I have kids now. I have a responsibility. So I don't look at the stuff that I used to look at before, like when I was 25 years old, things that were like super important to me, like, oh, he got to look good. Now, I'm not saying I want an ugly, unattractive, but there was a lot of superficial things that I went into my marriage, like, that I focused more on than the things that I actually needed to pay
Needed.
attention
Hmm.
to. So I missed a lot of red flags. I missed, like, a lot of things that I should have, like, looking back, I should have been like, now, sometimes you have, like, retrospect, there's
Mm-hmm.
things that I missed because I was blinded by what you were talking about, the illusion of marriage.
Right.
I was blinded by like the gifts and the promises of what my life would look like instead of like really sitting down and talking and again, like, my ex-husband, I think that at the time too, like, he had his motives for wanting to get married. He's a family man, and he had lost a spouse previous to us getting married, so I think he was also looking for just that companionship again, having a woman's presence in his life. So everybody gets married for, I think, some at some point for some motive or reason, but I think that now, like, at my age now, I can honestly say that me looking at marriage now and how I view it now is completely different than how I viewed it when I was 25 years old. I have a lot more understanding now. Um,
Right.
yeah, but
Oh, wait. Well, and I look at it too like that. We don't hope to be married twice, but I always
no,
looked at it like maybe my first husband was more like my test. Like, this is what you do, this is what you don't do. Because I don't
yeah,
put everything on him as well, because I have to take some type of accountability.
absolutely.
Um, so I look at it like, okay, instead of me presenting myself in this manner to my future husband, I've
Hmm.
learned that, based on what has happened with my prior husband, not to
Oh,
put
you
him
learn
in the.
so much.
Yes, so I like to use, like, I was considered the test dummy and he was considered my test dummy.
Listen,
But God, did you have to, he gave me responsibility with that.
I
But
think with us, God blesses it because it's
mhm,
marriage.
right,
And so if we make the decision to jump into something head first, He's
mhm,
going to bless it because it's marriage. And it's
right,
better for, to burn I mean, it's better to be married than to burn, and, those old sayings. So
right,
I think that because the intention is He will bless it, but it doesn't mean that that was His will or that He ordained it.
right.
And so I truly believe that, like, I don't know, I'm a little like at a crossroads when it comes to that. I can't speak on. Let me get this disclaimer first. I'm not a marriage expert whatsoever. These are just things that I've gathered from like my own personal experience
Mhm,
and things that I've learned about myself. I believe that everybody is on their different path. Everybody is on their own journey, and
right,
whatever lessons and things that you received out of your relationship, it could help somebody else. I'm like, take the meat, spit out the bones sort of person.
mhm,
Like, if it applies, if it doesn't. But for me, like, I truly believe that I've seen people who you would think like, no, they're not supposed to be married based on how it started and how it launched, but then they live they have a long marriage,
mhm,
So I think that I truly believe that marriages, God will bless it.
mhm.
If it's not, you take away the lessons from it and you move forward. But I do believe that it's the effort of the two people that's inside of it. Like, yes,
Yes.
God blesses it, but there's to make a marriage work is very much so. It's not just,
Mhm,
you have to put in work. It's the effort
mhm.
of two people saying that I'm going to be committed no matter what. Because
And
there's marriages that I know, like, how are they, how did this,
how did
and they're, yeah. So you can't, like, I don't think there's no one shoe fits all. Like, I've
right,
seen a lot of different scenarios, and what I've come to determine is just like, a lot of it is keeping God at the center of it, but it
mhm,
also takes two individuals saying that I'm not going to give up on you, and this is what we're going to do to make it work for us. And so,
right. And I'm glad you said that, but it does take two. And with God being the third string in that marriage, and you said two, not 5 or 6 or 10 or 12. It does take that.
girl, I had the whole city in mind, honey.
Yeah, let me tell you, honey, listen. But if you want something, how that's just like, you have your spa. You've been very successful with that. You have a whole spa, a location, and on top of that, a sub location where it's mobile. So you work for that because that's what you wanted. So what you want,
Absolutely.
you're gonna put in the work. But it also has
Absolutely.
to be two people that are willing and want it the same way. Only thing that's gonna keep a man is a man that want to be kept. Only thing that's gonna keep a woman is a woman that want to be kept. We got to look at it that way. And it might not have been for you per se, but it was what you went through to prepare you for what God really has for you. I mean, you got to get that right first. He said, okay, I'm going to take you through up and through there for a little bit, but I'm telling you, you're going to need to learn. I'm going to use this right here situation, this marriage right here to prepare you
Absolutely.
for what this one is going to need, or what what
Absolutely.
this one's going to require. So that's why I like to look at the notion. I mean, it's like God is truly he's got the mold. I'm talking about he gonna have to twist, turn,
Girl, he has to do a
he
whole
got to do a whole
360,
lot for me.
180.
So, yes.
Listen.
So that's why I don't mind waiting, because I know how I am. I
Yes.
require someone to be patient with me. Like
Yes.
it requires a lot of patience. I'm a very outspoken individual already. So I tend to, not just like on this platform I talk, so I tend to vent a lot. So you got to be patient with me. Let me just get it out. And it takes a very special, especially with a man, because a man doesn't really do all of that, but it's going to take that special someone that's willing to say, okay, go ahead, talk, I'm listening. I don't care if it's going through one ear out the other. What matters the most is that I see you and I acknowledge that you're listening. So that's one of the things that I know that God is going, because you don't find that in a lot of men, because they're like non-dramatic or whatever you say. They'll just use a 6 word sentence and be done with it. We as women, we tend to elaborate. We tend to
Yeah.
extend the response. We go all the way in.
Girl, write a whole book, girl. We're gonna
Yes.
write a whole page, a whole book, a whole
Hmm.
novel, honey.
Yes. So but I'm willing to wait, because I've had my heart broken more times than
Yeah.
someone has actually taken it and mended it and actually held it and secured it. I have been through so much of that. So to prevent myself from let down or from hurt, I'm willing to wait, and that's what is required. So it's we I'm not gonna say we lose in the end. I'm gonna say that in spite of whatever, it's a learning experience for us.
Yes.
We still were blessed some type of way. We have children,
Absolutely.
you know, you have Gianni.
I look at my kids, and this
Yeah.
is, I think, what personally like helped me to realize that like it wasn't a failure, and sort like, of course, like when you are going through divorce or any sort of like heartbreak,
Mm-hmm.
like you can only see it through the pain that you're experiencing at the time. I
Mm-hmm.
think that like now that I'm like removed from it, and I've gone to therapy, I realize what I should have done
Mm-hmm.
going, like, because it's a huge part of it is accountability
Right.
first off, like
Right.
you being able to acknowledge like where you went wrong, like what caused me to rush into this so quickly,
Mm-hmm.
what caused me like to respond in a certain way. Like you start looking at yourself and you understand like what you could have done differently as well. But I think a huge part of me navigating and realizing that like this wasn't a failure is my kids. Like they're evidence that there was love at some
Love.
point, there
Right.
was camaraderie, there was teamwork, there was partnership,
Mm-hmm.
there were all of these things. It just didn't last. Like
Last.
so it wasn't that I don't believe it was failure. You know what I'm saying? You, like I said, you like you're saying, you take the lessons, and I
Mm-hmm.
took some lessons from it. And it makes you better people. I also am one of those type of people, when I was going through therapy, and I'm so thankful that like I went through therapy. I'm gonna be like honest with you. I was so angry at first because let me tell you something. I had like, and this is going back to, I had my life planned out, what my
Right.
marriage is gonna look like, my kids, vacations, trip,
Mm-hmm.
businesses we're gonna open. Like I had it all mapped out and planned in my head. And I actually remember like when I was growing up, like I'm waiting till I get married. Like I'm gonna wait till I get married to have kids. And I was very protective to make sure that I was not,
Right.
because I wanted 2 kids. I wanted a family. I wanted 2 parents in a home, because I grew up, my mom divorced when I was in first year of college. My ex-husband, he came from a background where divorce was, um, it was in our family. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that like when it came to me and what I wanted, and me seeing like the effects that divorce has on like families and the division, and it's not like when the two people divorce, it's just it's like
Right.
families divorce, people,
Mm-hmm.
like there's a lot that goes into it. And when I saw grew up seeing that, I remember saying, I never want that.
Want to
Like
go
I
through that.
never. So when I got married and that happened, like it was a lot to like take in, that like, God, now I'm out here a real baby mama. Like,
Right.
really?
I
Like that was the last thing I want. That was the one thing I
Mhm.
always was like, and it's crazy because you have to I don't even judge people no more, because the things that you judge today will probably be
Mhm.
the things you have to yesterday, the dark
Right.
things you start dealing with today. So I remember judging people like, where's the daddy at? Where's this and that? So like to now be in a position where people,
Yes.
and I be out with my kids and they be looking like, well, where the daddy? Ain't no ring on my finger. I be like,
Right.
so you let people be great and live. I don't judge no more. But I think that like it wasn't failure. My kids are evidence that it was beautiful at some point or another.
Right.
And I think one of the things that I just stay here really quick. I had to get to a point where I moved more in the love that I had for the individual versus like the disappointment, because that
Mm.
helped me to like kind of like move forward in a sense that I had to remember that at some point I don't want to say at some point that I have a love for this person.
Right.
I still will always love this person.
Right.
And so me moving forward and me seeing it as the love, just it transferred from not the role of a wife anymore, but that's
Mhm.
my kid's father. And
Right.
there will always be a love there. Um, and I'm gonna always want want what's best for them. And that took a lot of just going to therapy and just realizing that like as much as I had this fantasy in my head of how I
Mhm.
wanted things to go and the
Right.
reality of the situation, there was still something beautiful that came from
That
that.
came
And
from
I don't have any regrets, because me having regrets would be like me regretting my kids.
it.
And
Is right.
honestly,
Mhm.
everything that I have, my motivation is because of my kids.
Right.
Like it's because of them. Like seeing them motivates me and push me to be like, keep building, girl, keep going, girl. Like when I wanted to give up, seeing my kids there was a reminder. Like you don't have a choice. There's two little ones that's depending on you. So they inspire me a lot.
Right. And I do know what I think it's very healthy to keep that relationship and that rapport, among, the two parents. It's healthier for the kids because they didn't ask to be here. I know
No,
with my children, I do try to, it took me a while to actually grasp the concept of, oh, I hate you. It took me a while to get out of that. But I had to realize, like we were just talking about, everything is not intended to last.
yeah.
Even energizer batteries don't last. Eventually, they
Girl, they give out and they tell you it keeps going
so
and going and going, and it don't be going, going, going.
so it might not be intended, but versus you got a device or something. I mean, some require batteries, and that's going to give out. But then you got one that you can plug in, and it'll last a lifetime. You can use a plug,
Yes.
and that'll last. You know what I'm saying? So it's what you put into it.
Hmm.
And I'm like I said, I'm firm on with the children, making sure that that there's a healthy relationship, that there's boundaries as well, for the sake of the children. um which moves me to my next question. How was your life prior to marriage, and what are some of the things you enjoyed the most before getting married, and do you have any regrets?
Girl, I was turned up Kiki. No, I'm kidding.
Listen,
I
I
feel
was turned up
like
too. But my
let
little
me tell you,
lady,
girl, I
listen,
had fun. I was like, and I still feel like I'm still kind of like I'm coming back to myself, because I'm you lose yourself a little bit in marriage, because you literally, I feel like I don't want to say no. I don't. Let me take that back. I don't think that you lose yourself in marriage. You can lose yourself in marriage if you
mm-hmm,
allow yourself to, because I don't believe everybody who have healthy marriages are losing themselves. But I, I love to travel, girl. I was the type of person I would literally like put my clothes in a backpack. I backpacked Central America. Like I
mm-hmm,
went away for a month and had like 10 outfits in a backpack and
mm-hmm.
jumped to different countries. I was just spontaneous. I love skydiving, girl. Anything that was like that would my adrenaline. I was out here risking my life like every weekend, girl, doing like extreme sports and stuff like that. Like by
Yes.
the grace of God, I'm still here. But I got this like high off of just doing adrenaline like things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm still kind of like, I feel like the same person when I first got out of my marriage, and it was very hard for me to see my future because I was just in a very like low place.
Mm-hmm.
But it took like my mom, I thank God for her. I remember like during that time, she would send me pictures of like me when I was competing as Miss Florida Gator and Miss North Central Florida. And then she would send like little things of like accomplishments that I had done throughout the years, like win like business awards. And I had
Mm-hmm.
started my first company when I was 18 years old. So she was constantly trying to like not make me dwell on the past, but trying to remind me of who I was before I got married, and letting me know that like this isn't it for you. You're not just a single mother. There's so much in you. And I thank God if you have people like that in your life. My sister Crystal, she was like that for me, always constantly saying, Kierra, I know you're not seeing yourself as this person right now, but
Mm-hmm.
remember who you were. Remember who you were. Because I remember like by the time it was over, I didn't like recognize myself. I couldn't even like tell you, like I didn't even know. I was so disconnected from myself because I had spent so many years trying to like be what my marriage needed me to be, what
Mm-hmm.
you know, I didn't remember like who I was anymore. And so much of my identity was wrapped up in my role as a wife and trying to be perfect and trying to like, so I had lost myself for a while, but pretty much like who you see me are thriving as now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm literally back in that place like who I was prior. I've always been self-motivated. Nobody don't have
Right.
to give me 10,000 pep talks. I get up every morning, give myself a pep talk. I've always been a creative, love starting stuff. I'm a Gemini, so we're
Mm-hmm.
like a jack of all trades. We like
Right.
to do just about anything, and I'm trying to get to a place where I'm like, be a master of something, Kierra.
Right. Right.
But how I am now, like just always has several interests. I'm a learner. I love like learning new things. I love challenging myself. I don't like staying at the same place for too long. I get very bored, and I'm on to like what's something new, what's another class I can take. So um but I feel like I prior to marriage, it's now I will say this, like my marriage, one of the things that I do appreciate that I've been able to, my marriage like domesticated me a lot, girl. I
Okay.
do appreciate because I wasn't cooking like that. Like I ate out a lot. I'm starting to get back to that place, but I ate out a lot. I never cooked. It wasn't that I didn't know how to cook. I just didn't like really like, but being married, I would be on YouTube, girl, learning how to cook. Um, it really just like a lot of things that I wasn't important to me before it became important to me. And this is what's making me a better mom because I've
Right.
developed a lot of like skills and stuff. But yeah, but I'm pretty much, I don't have any regrets. That second part of the question at all. I don't have any regrets. I used to think that I had regrets. Like I wish I would have, I wish I would have. You could always do things differently in life. I feel
Mhm.
like we're always on a path, like where you're at a crossroads where you could choose this way, choose this way. Life is like that, period. So you just have to be okay with the path that you chose and whatever
Right.
outcome it was. At that time, I was making the best decision that I feel like was for me. And I
Mhm.
don't regret ever making that decision because it taught me a lot.
Mhm.
It taught me a lot about love. It taught me a lot about forgiveness. And honestly, it drew me closer to God because that was the only thing that was going to keep me and motivate me and keep me sane. So I don't regret it because I'm here where I am now.
And that's a blessing. And you're doing very great. But you making it look real, real good, honey. I, I, I had listen. I had 7 total.
Girl,
People
7
wonder.
kids.
People
Bless
wonder.
your heart.
People wonder how in the world I did it. But
Bless your
you,
heart.
yes. But when you are determined, I was driven, and one thing about it, God ain't never left my side. It was just
He
like
hasn't.
I'm sitting up here like, Lord, how am I gonna do this again? And then now I got more. I was done after 5.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was, but God saw me through it. And
He did.
I'm not begging, borrowing, I'm not stealing.
Girl, I'd be
Look at
like,
that.
Lord, you have brought me a mighty long way, honey. Because
Man,
I like literally like so my divorce is just it was a lot. But when I came out of it, girl, I was on food stamps, girl.
mhm,
I was government assistance, girl. It was so to just see where I am now,
right.
like not having enough, you know, like really, it was just a lot, man. Like, but God is so faithful. He's
Mhm.
so faithful, and I think that it showed me that He will show up for you in ways that a man
Can't,
can
right.
never will be able to. And it's
Yeah.
not that you can't trust people, but there's a part of you that cannot put all your trust in a human. You can love and you can trust, I feel like the God in that person, but I'll never feel like I'll be like trust somebody to the point but where I feel like they can't disappoint me or that they won't let me down or that they
Mhm.
won't I personally will never put that type of pressure on somebody because nobody will be able to, you know, people who have been married probably 20, 50, 30, 50 years, they'll probably tell you like if you have that sort of expectation going into a marriage thinking that this
Right.
person ain't gonna never break your heart, never say something that makes your skin crawl, never get on you, like it's an absolute lie because
Listen.
marriage is like all of that. You think you're gonna be with somebody that many years and not get frustrated with them, not like them at some point? Like,
Ooh, honey.
child, it's a whole
Listen.
hot mess.
It's frustrating, and you love them and you want to, but at the same time it's just like, oh Lord, how much should I endure?
Yeah,
But it is definitely, my experience was a little bit different, but I do appreciate everything that I went through because, like
I
you say,
do.
it made me who I am today. I
I agree with Gator.
I had
Yeah,
people that were coming to me telling me, oh, well, you should do this or you should do that. But when you hear the voice of God say,
yes,
leave it alone, and you hear him just say, leave it alone.
yeah.
Don't don't do nothing.
I agree.
Leave it
Yeah,
alone. It's like you begin to it I mean, it broke my heart, but it cleared my vision. You get what I'm
yeah,
saying? So now I'm able to hear clearer. I'm able to
yeah.
see, and I look at it a lot different. But hey, I'm like you. I don't really have no regrets. I just
No.
I've lived and I've learned and I've experienced it and went through it. So it is what it is.
Hmm.
So my
I'm
next,
with Gator. He says the enemy hates love, and he really does. He
yes.
really does. And so I, oh my God, I can go on and on about like my personal journey with this, but I don't want to go into like details because out of just
Mhm.
respect for my kid's father. But like he hates love, and like, and I think that that's why like I choose to like move past or move forward and operate in the spirit of love and just forgive and understand like the same grace that I want God to extend to me every day
Okay.
and my flawed little self. Like, because
Mhm.
it's so easy for people to get on social media and of course, we're going to portray our best sides. People show up as their representatives all the time. Okay. But
Mhm.
there's a part of us that is struggling, the part of us that have things that we do need to work on and get past. And the same God that extends grace and love to me like every day, like you have to extend it. You have to. So you're right. He doesn't like love. He doesn't like marriage. He doesn't like when you're operating out of a place of love.
Right.
And I truly believe, like, even if you are divorced from somebody, you can still love that person. You don't.
Right.
There's no like. I remember like being mad at myself because I was wanting to stop. I wanted to stop caring. I remember like telling my therapist I wanted like because when I got my divorce, mine wasn't that I filed. It wasn't something that I wanted. So that was why it was a little bit more difficult for me to go through my process because it was the last thing that I wanted. I actually
Mhm.
wanted to fight for mine. Um, and I remember like up until the last day like of mediation, like when the judge signed up on the sign up, I remember like thinking like in my mind, like God, if there's something in you that can change the outcome of this, change it right now. Like, you know, even all the stuff that I knew, all the things that
Mhm.
was, I remember thinking that, because that's how committed I was to marriage and love, and what I knew about God, and how He honors it. So, you know, but I just thank God that, like, even though it was something that I wanted, He loved
Mhm.
me enough to protect me and say that, I know that this is what you want, Kierra, but
Right.
I have something better. And He knew
Right.
more about the situation than I ever would. He knew that, like, if I stayed in a certain place or I stayed there, I would have never been able to walk into who He had called me to be. And so there's somebody that, for everybody. You understand what I'm
Right.
saying?
Mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah. And we
I
just
know you
gotta
want,
be patient. We gotta
yeah,
be patient. Sometimes I think God be playing with me too, though. Cause I be like, "Oh Lord, for real, Lord."
girl.
Mm. All right. Next question. Do you believe that being married, having it recorded on a piece of paper, guarantees that commitment will last? Because we have couples that have been together for, 20 plus years and not legally married, but by common law, they consider themselves married. And I don't know about you, but those marriages are
They last longer.
they last way, way longer than
Girl.
even. I'm gonna tell you,
It
even
be seeming that way. Why
even
is that?
I don't know what it is, but even
I don't know
courthouse
either,
marriages,
girl.
baby,
I
when
don't
you
know.
got
I don't know what it is, girl.
I
Because
don't
I know
know.
some people that have been together for decades, honey, and never
Yep,
signed that piece of paper. I
ain't
don't know.
never signed
It
nothing.
seems as if that those marriages are more favorable and that people are, but I don't think marriage, I don't think the piece of paper makes the difference more than the commitment.
Commitment.
Um, Now, it's all about, like, me personally knowing what I know and what God says about marriage. And I think people put a lot of emphasis on the fact that you're making it legal. But if you're going to be committed in a common law marriage, what's the difference than you being committed in a relationship and with a piece of paper being involved? I don't know what the difference is. People get married by pastors that's not ordained by God, fake pastors, curse
That's
marriages. Yeah,
probably what it is
that's
too.
a. I mean, possible. I truly believe. You know what? Another thing that I was gonna say is because I know for a fact, like this time around, I told God, please don't let nobody come to me talking about God said that that's your husband. Please do not say
Yeah.
that. I told God I will run for the hills.
For me.
I told them, because that will pull you in very quickly, having someone
Mhm.
co-sign and saying that God says this. And this is where, when I tell you about where I was at 25 years old, I knew God, prayed, acknowledged Him, but I didn't have a relationship with Him. And I think had I had a relationship with Him, there was a, like, the level of discernment I have now, girl, I'd be scared of. But at that time, I didn't have that level of discernment. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And sometimes when you don't have a level of discernment, you're trusting in people to tell you where, like, you're trusting in those pastors, you're trusting
Right.
in those spiritual leaders, because your relationship isn't where it needs to be at with God, for them to co-sign and tell you, like, this is who you're supposed to marry. God showed me, because I got all of that. Like, He
Right.
got it too. Like, oh, this is the one God said to hurry up, rush marriage, and all of this. And you get in this false sense of confidence, like, okay, this is the one. But no, like, you need to have like, I told God, I said, I know, like, it's not that I don't trust that people have the ability, like prophetic gifts, and they have the ability to speak, but this time around, my next time around, I did tell God, there's something that you have to confirm in me. There has to be a piece that I don't need somebody convincing me or saying that what thus says the Lord. Like, you speak
Mhm.
to me first. I don't need another man coming to me saying that God showed me that you was my wife. I need you to confirm that with me first, because whatever it is that you have for me, I want to make sure that I'm in alignment with your will and your word. And of
Right.
course, but He's absolutely, child, I could tell you,
Listen.
That's a whole nother comment. Gator's getting us off topic, LaShonda. What was the question?
Hey, but you know what? Gator was right. I mean,
Yeah,
you got
it's,
some
it's
of
it's
these.
a lot of marriages that aren't working because of that reason, because they did not hear from God. They
You
heard
got
from a
right.
man, and
Yeah,
that's
I know.
yeah.
And it's like I'm just sitting there here thinking, and oh, when I tell you, you got many that are called, like, you know, a lot of people call themselves to ministry. A lot of people call themselves to be um unionized people, and but you weren't chosen for that. You chose yourself for that, you know. And that's where I'm just like, I draw the line. It's just, you know, when I get married again, you know, I'm gonna tell you like this, Kierra, I'm going to the courthouse. You know, I'm gonna go into the courthouse. If I don't, but see, this is gonna be my strategy. This is what I want to do. I want to have a big reception
Mm-hmm.
and make it look like a wedding, and ain't turning in no papers. That's initially what I said I wanted to do. Like kind of like how Mendici and Yandy did. They had that big old wedding, and then she didn't turn
It
them
was
papers.
never.
She never turned them papers in. That's what I want to do.
Girl, you need to stop.
No, I'm serious. I'm just.
I
But
don't fear marriage to that extent. Like, I don't. My divorce has not traumatized me to the place where I'm like, it don't have to be legalized. Like, it didn't like traumatize me to that point. And I thank God for that, because I know some people who have been traumatized through their divorce to the point where they're like, I'm never getting married again. Like, and they're okay with the common law situation. Like, I can have a companion, I can have, but for me and the vision that God has given me for my life and what he personally has placed in me in terms of what I am going to be building with my husband, is going to require it to be legal, because it's not just about me, it's about the offsprings that I will be producing with him and what their inheritance and what they're going to come into. Like, it's not about just me and my thoughts and my feelings and my opinions. It's about legacy. It's about the generations that's going to come after me. And because I don't want my kids walking into that believing that that's okay, I have to lead by example. And so I haven't been traumatized to that point of like, now I will say this, like, there's nothing wrong. I personally don't feel like there's nothing wrong with whatever you came into the marriage with. That's yours, that's mine. And then, prenups and stuff like that. And then we build what we have together. I don't think that there's nothing wrong with that. If somebody, that I was interested in came to me and said that, but I don't believe that it makes a difference whether you have a piece of paper or not. I truly believe that, like, marriage, all these things that like social media is making up about marriage, I feel like they're like overcomplicating it. It's really not that serious. Like, I think that you just need to hear from God with who you're
right.
supposed to be with. And if and it devastates me because I see people that I just see God's hand on their marriage, and you see how they should, like, you see, like, oh my God, I know so many people that like have gotten divorces recently, and you see the impact that their marriage actually had on the world. Like, you see, like, them being together as one unit, how that blessed, like, their unity and their union, how it actually blessed people. And to see those type of couples divorcing, that breaks my heart.
Right.
But I don't think it has nothing to do with like curses sometimes. I think it's just two people that got in their own way. Like, I think people forget that there is free will. There is
You done glitch.
hold on. Can you see me?
I see you frozen.
All right, hold on.
I don't know what's going on.
I think that all right. Hold on one second, sweetie.
Okay.
And why I had to be frozen on that face shot, girl? Why I had to be frozen on that
Oh
one?
my goodness. Wait a minute here.
I mean, I am deep in conversation.
Hold on. Let me see.
Y'all bet not screenshot this and have this as my cover photo for the rest of my life. I don't know if my internet is buffering. Hold on.
Hold on. Let me see. It's you, because I had
You know, I don't mind that being my cover photo, and then that's just talking like, "Hi, y'all."
I know, right?
Okay, so what I was gonna say is, listen, while the camera is getting back activated, what else? Oh, hold on.
Okay. So let me go ahead. Let's see. I also have I have another one. I really want to get through to these questions because okay. Compared to men, comparing men and women, comparing the two. Do you
Uh huh.
believe that there are significant characteristics behind each sex's motive to marry? Like maybe a man wants to marry because you're fine as hell. I don't, and maybe a woman wants to marry because hey, he can provide for her. He has this, he has that. Uh, Me personally, it might seem a little crazy, but I look at it for how someone um treats my children. That to me, that is very. There we go.
Okay. You
For
see me,
me,
boo?
yes, honey. I'm very adamant about that. Like how you treat my children is
Uh
what
huh.
signifies to me whether you're a fit for me or not. Because if you don't know how, those are innocent little, babies, humans. And I think that if you can treat them with some dignity and respect, I think is what is most important, having the respect.
Uh huh.
Then I think that that's just one of the pet peeves for me. But and then not only that, you gotta work, and that is one of my motives behind getting to know you.
Yeah.
Not saying that up front that you're going to like just meet my kids, but how you treat your children, how
Absolutely.
you talk about your kids, how you spend time with them, that's important. That lets me know how you're going to treat mine. But
Absolutely.
do you think that there's different characteristics between men and women?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that love is a common one that both parties share. I think that, but I think that like for men, I think men probably more are looking for like, they marry for like legacy, they marry for kids, they marry um because they want a helpmate, they want someone to support them. I think a big one is also respect. That was one of the things that like in my marriage I noticed that my ex-husband was on. I think when you have men, they have a lot that they have to carry, like
Mhm.
um and there's a lot that I think that women, as women, we don't truly like understand. So I think that men marry to have that supportive wife, to have that supportive spouse. But again, it's about their legacy. It's about what they're building and what they're gonna pat, like their kids that they're gonna that their names, the legacy that they're gonna have.
Mhm.
Um,
Right.
I think women, like, yeah, I think most women, we're more, we grew up with Barbie dolls. We had marriage and stuff like that drilled into us even when we didn't even know what marriage was, when we were learning about being a mother and like nurturing at a young age, and like even like Barbie and Ken, like we learned like those concepts like very early on. So I think a lot of our influences when women are wanting to get married, it is for like stability, it is for
Right.
kids, it is you know for me personally, like because now I'm a single mom, like obviously like I take that in consideration, like how would I in my mind I have to say how would this person like fit into my life in terms of like their involvement with my kids. um but yeah, I think, so I did put like two things I said that I think women,
Mm-hmm.
we're more I think we're more romance driven when it
Right.
comes to marriage. Um,
Right.
but yeah, I think family and children, stability, like having somebody that you can, you know, your husband is supposed to be your best friend,
Mm-hmm.
so having that companionship. I don't think too much is off from the sexes. I think what made the attraction and stuff, like, I think everybody, like, I honestly think everybody is driven by the same things, to be
Right.
perfectly honest. I don't really think that there's no no difference. Like, I think a man is going to want to have kids with his wife. Like, he wants his last name to be, he wants to create a legacy with his name. Um, but I don't think too much that there's too much difference in between the two. Me personally, like, and me dating like last year, and me talking to, like, I met some really great guys last year. Like, Grace and Gigi almost had a stepdaddy at least like two good times. Like, it was,
I know, right?
I was this close,
Yes.
because everybody was trying to be my baby stepdaddy child. I had
Yes.
to like pump your brakes. And
Yes.
I personally, like, as a mother, I couldn't introduce my kids to nobody. Like, I'm just very protective now over
Mhm.
that. So for me, when I'm looking now, a lot of my qualities, of course, I want companionship. I want somebody that um, understands like my life and what I'm trying to build, and you know them being able to support me. But I also believe that I believe that women, like, we were created to help serve a man and stuff.
Mhm.
So like a lot of our natural abilities, and I feel like that's naturally in us, is created to serve the man. The man will serve us, like, in the sense of them providing a space for us, stability, shelter, home, like
Mhm.
being the head of the household. Um, but I truly believe that I don't think that there's no, I don't know. I think people could say, "Oh, women don't look at looks," but yeah, we do. Like,
Yeah.
we do. Like, I don't know who anybody like me. I can't speak for every woman, but like there has to be like some physical
Some type
attraction.
of attraction.
I'm not now. I'm not harped up on that,
Mhm.
because like when you're 25 years old, child, you hot, child, and you just,
Mhm.
that's something that's like important. But like it's important, but it's not important enough for me to miss like the other
The,
qualities that
so
I feel
right.
like,
Not to miss my blessing. No, it's not.
yeah,
I'm not.
like some of the things that I can truly say that I was looking at in my 20s, girl. I ain't gonna tell you who gave me this piece of advice, but somebody gave me a piece of advice, and an older woman. Most of my friends are all like 40 and up,
Mhm.
and they was like, "Here, when you get like older and stuff, like the stuff that y'all are like harping on right now is not going to be as important as it is when you like you're going to want somebody that offers that stability, that comfort, that peace, that
Right.
support. um there's a lot of things that I would desire in a partner, but I'm also learning like what is it that I can also offer my partner,
Mhm.
because sometimes I think we get harped on like, oh, they need to be able to do this, they need to be able to do that, they need to be that. But do I have the capacity right now to even give what it is that I'm
Mhm.
asking of them? But I don't know, just to go back to your question, I don't think that there's no significant difference. Like for me, I want legacy. Legacy is important for me. Respect is important for me. Um, some of the things that I hear men talking about, those things are also important to me as well. I just think that the biggest thing that I think that determines it is literally like you being in the will of God, to be
Right.
perfectly honest. Like, I just want whoever I'm with next for us. The biggest thing for me is I want us to have the same spiritual convictions. That's a huge one for me, because I think that if you're spiritually convicted about certain things, we both are on the same page. Like, I want my next husband to have a spiritual conviction about divorce. I want him to be like, that's not an option for us. Some people don't see it as, they're not convicted about it. They get married, they say it don't work, and they realize that it's a way out. You always have a way out. But I just want the next person that I'm with for us to share some of the same convictions. Like, we know that this is something that we don't want to do. Like, this is we have a commonality and shared, and like this is things that, so I think that that's a big one for me. But I can't really speak for nobody else. I
Right.
don't know what drives men. Maybe the men can tell us what are some things that they look for. But just me personally as a woman,
Right.
yeah, I think the motives can be simultaneously the same. Yeah.
But what if you're not healed? Do you believe that marriage, moving on into another marriage, like
Yeah.
your situation right now, do you think that a lot of individuals, whether it be a man or a woman, they move on to heal from past relationships or wounds that um
Yeah. I
triggered?
definitely think that like marriage is like a, some people utilize it in that way. I think that, like, I know people who got in a marriage and jumped immediately into another. Even with my situation, like my divorce, I think was finalized probably like less than 40 days, and he had married again. And
Mhm,
so I think that it is possible that people use marriage to, you know,
mhm,
but there's a catch 22 with that, because I think sometimes that, like, even though I wouldn't personally recommend that, and that's like, it's not that I can't, I could be married by now. Like, I've
mhm,
talked to enough people who really wanted to consider taking that next step with me. I just was not ready, because I know that the place that I'm in, and I know that there was a lot of work that I personally wanted. I didn't want to make a decision, a permanent decision like that from an unhealed place. Like, I
right.
didn't want to make that drastic decision again, knowing that I still hadn't really uncovered what happened with my last marriage. I didn't uncover, or I haven't realized my part in my last
Mhm,
marriage and what worked and what didn't work. So I didn't want to jump into something, because I feel like marriage, all it does is, I feel like it, like, blows up like stuff that you're dealing with. So if you're insecure, baby, marriage is gonna like heighten it to like the 10th. If you're like possessive, it's gonna like heighten it to the 10th. Like, it
mhm,
doesn't necessarily like makes a marriage doesn't heal you. But I
mhm,
will say this, like, if you're married to like the right person, I do believe that you still are going to have those issues going into the next person. But if you've married to the right person, I feel like that person will have a way with helping you identify. If they're kind enough, they're caring enough, that
mhm,
person may help you towards your healing journey. Meaning that they may be able to help you identify things that you may not know about yourself, or things that you need working with, and they give you the grace and they give you the space to
mhm,
like heal in that way. That's
right.
if you, because I remember talking to someone, and I only say that because I was talking to someone and I shared something with them that I was dealing with, and the way that they responded, I was really, he said, "Oh, men these times get married for control. Take a man of God to respect his wife." It says it takes, yeah, I truly believe that. I truly believe that. But I think that, what was I saying?
You were talking about, well, baby, I done got lost. Gator be having some.
Gator is in here on fire tonight.
Yes, we need to bring him to the stage. But listen, no,
Oh, you were talking about healing. You were talking about people jumping into marriages to
marriage.
heal. But I don't think that that's the best solution. But I do believe that if Gator is correct, Gator, if you marry a true man of God, and everybody's gonna come to a marriage with some baggage. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Ain't none of us gonna be like 100%. Like, I believe we can be healed where we have acknowledged where we struggle at. But all of us, it takes the right situation to have a trigger. Like, it takes just a moment for something to bring you back to a place, and you're like, like, you know. And then on top of that, our experiences shape our perspective. It shapes how we see the world. It shapes how we view relationships. It shapes a lot. It has a lot to do
Right.
with it. So I do believe that people can get married to someone, and even though they might be in it for, I do believe in the right marriage that can lead to healing.
Mhm,
Like, a spouse can bring that side of you out. Like,
mhm,
you hear people say that, hey, like, I was married to this person and I was a horrible person at, and they got with somebody else, and that person brought out another side of them that forced them to a place where they wanted to heal. Like, we
right.
don't we we don't know, in you know what I'm saying. So I even though like I like to like try to understand things from like the human concept, like, oh, that ain't
Mhm.
gonna last. They just jumped into a new marriage and blah blah blah. You don't know. You truly don't know. Like I know people who jumped in marriages and they're still married to this day, and it
Right.
wasn't perfect. They went through hell and back, and over the woods to grandmother house we go. But like
Mhm.
they that person had the grace, they had the to deal with that person in their unhealed state until that
Right.
person got to arrive into that place. So I wouldn't advise it. I wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't want to use marriage as a solution to get over anybody, which is probably why like I decided to like stay single, and I decided to date more so to get to know myself, to know what,
Right.
because who I am when I was married, like I've changed so much since then. Like things that I desired when I was like, oh my God, I'm not like the same person. So
Right.
like to bring some brokenness and like push that on somebody else and bleed all over them, like I'm not
Mm.
really solving any issues, because what I dealt with in that marriage, I'm just going to bring it to the next marriage. You understand what I'm saying? Like it doesn't change anything, but that person may have the grace to deal with the stuff
Right.
that the other person didn't want to deal with. That
Mhm.
person may be able to deal with the unhealed version. But I just personally, that's my personal preference, is I
Right.
don't want to go into a marriage. Um, I don't want to say that I want to make sure I'm 100% healed and 100%, but I at least want to be in a good enough place where I've
Mhm.
gotten to a place where I know me. I'm okay with being alone. I'm not marrying because I'm lonely and I just need to have somebody. Like, I want to be happy with me, because in those moments when I'm not satisfied or happy in my marriage, I can always go back and I can find happiness within myself and not be dependent
Yes.
upon somebody to give it to me. And I think
Mhm.
when you jump from one marriage to another, you're almost depending on that person to be what that other person wasn't. And I personally don't want to give like anybody that type of power that they have to be this. Like, I'm gonna love you for, hopefully we have enough in common and enough like shared interests and enough belief in God, and we're aligned in spiritually that we can contribute. But I don't want to ever like rely on somebody as much as I
Mhm.
did in my last marriage to fulfill every part of me. I don't believe that that's God's will. I believe we're two individual people, and we come together
Mhm.
and we make magic, but I'm still my individual person. You're still your individual person. And we have to be happy with ourselves before we try to, expect somebody to, we have to love ourselves before we expect somebody to love
Of
us.
us. Right. And that is correct. I appreciate you for clarifying that, because that was one question that was one of mine. That was one of my personal ones. But thank you for clarifying that. I do think that like I said, it brings it back to the question earlier. It's a lesson in each marriage, like what to do and what not to do. So when you move on to the next one, it's like you are a completely different person.
Yeah.
You know, um, and I'm happy that even my ex is able to identify, versus like this is what I went through before or what I had to, so I know now what I need not to do. You know what I'm saying? So I've even learned as well. But so, I don't, and you eventually heal over time.
Hmm.
I'm like you. I don't want to go into anything, and maybe that's just a woman thing. I just don't want to go into anything until I was healed. So it took me the last few years to actually heal myself. I didn't want to go wasting nobody else's time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, not bringing nobody in, and I had a relationship. You know what I'm saying, and I was actually like, like pursuing a possible, but it was just
Hmm.
like things that just reminded me of what I did
Yeah.
to go through again. And then I say, oh, just not good,
Yeah.
So
Like my first year post divorce, like when I was dating, like everybody was being compared to like my last marriage unconsciously. Like I didn't even realize like I was doing it. And I was just like, there, like you automatically like are like, well, in my last marriage, I got pursued this way. So, and I just didn't want to put nobody through that. Like
right.
I don't like bleeding on people. And it's part of my personality. Like people see me shut down off of social media for months or weeks and stuff, because I'm one of those type of people when I'm going through stuff, I
Mm-hmm.
like to process. Now I do have people that I consult with, that I get counsel from,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't really like bleeding on people and stuff. So I just feel like when you're out of like, I remember my therapist telling me, she was like, you, like after a year, me still having
Mhm.
certain feelings and me wondering like, why am I still feeling this way? She
Mhm.
was like, psychologically, like it takes a person about 5 to 10 years to like actually like get, get over someone, to get over a certain situation. So don't beat yourself up for like still feeling certain things or still feeling certain emotions. She said,
Mhm.
because what you went through, like, love changes your life, but also grief. And when you divorce, you understand that it's a grieving process. Like, you're grieving like the life that you thought that you was going to have, that you no longer like. You're grieving like it feels like somebody said, I saw it on like a video once, where it's like it's very much like death. Like
Death.
you're grieving.
Mhm.
um so if why would I want to like bring somebody in my grieving process and be
Right.
like,
Yes,
like,
that's
that's a
it.
false sense of happiness for me. Like, when I was dating and I was going out on dates, guys take me on extravagant trips and dates. It was a false sense of happiness. Like, I
Mhm.
felt happy in that moment. I felt, it gave me a false confidence as well, because it was like, okay, when you go through divorce, and again, I'll go back to this. I did not file for divorce. My ex-husband filed for divorce against me. I did not want a divorce. He wanted a divorce from me. So when you go through that, you automatically, I was dealing with heavy rejection. So
Mhm.
when you the desire to the feeling of being desired again. I just didn't want to operate out of that place. Like, I'm choosing you because you desire me, but I really don't even like you. I just like the fact that you desire me. Like,
Yeah, I know, right?
like,
I've been there, trust
girl,
me.
like, like, because when you look back, you're like, I don't even know what I like actually saw. Like, and then
Mhm.
the other part of that is like, because I was unhealed, I was literally attracting like another version of like behaviors that I dealt with. Like, it was like you're attracting the same person, just a different person. And
Right.
so I didn't want to like, I when I tell you I thank God for therapy, y'all, it's like
I had to go.
she let me go through my season, like
Yeah.
my hot girl summer season. And she said, I'll be here when you get back, because she already knew where it was gonna go. But
Listen,
she
I'm telling
already
you,
knew. And it,
yeah.
and all you're doing is self-inflicting more wounds on yourself, more
Mhm.
scars. Like, it's just for what? I
Mhm.
think take that time. I have so many people tell me I'm going through a divorce, and they be like, what's the advice? And I said, take time to
Take the time.
heal. I don't care. Like, the worst advice that I hated that people gave me when I was going through my after my divorce was finalized, because my ex had gotten married so quickly after me, people
Mhm.
automatically felt this sense that like, you need to hurry up, and he done moved on,
No,
like you need to move on. And they
it doesn't
equated
go
like
like that.
moving. Oh my God, I hated it. And I still hate, like, whenever people ask me, I was like, don't ever feel pressured that you have to like move on immediately. Like,
Mhm.
me talking to other people, that wasn't a sign that, like, also like me starting businesses and me doing all of these extravagant things, like, getting my real estate license, launching my real estate business, opening up my spa, doing all these things. That wasn't an indication that I was healed. Like, God allowed me
Mhm.
to bounce back, and He opened
Right.
doors for me to be able to take care of my kids. But that wasn't like,
Mhm.
people was looking at that as an indication that I was like healed and like, oh, God, I'm black. And yeah, He was. I ain't gonna lie. He was doing His big one. Okay.
He was
He
doing
was
his big
showing
one now.
completely out. He said, I'm gonna give you
Girl,
double for the trouble. I'm gonna give you a payback for all the tears. He was
yes, for
absolutely doing that
everything.
in some. Okay, but that did not mean that I was like healed. It didn't mean that I wasn't still dealing with the pain of what was happening. And because like I it was like for me personally, my divorce, it was finalized in September, the end of September. By November, he was remarried. So now I was having to not just grieve my marriage, but now having to dealing with a new wife and my newborn baby being around a new woman. So for me, it was like I wasn't just grieving that, I was also grieving seeing someone living the life that I thought that I was going to have.
Mhm.
So me trying to like bounce back and date somebody and to try to prove that, it just wasn't going to be right. It wasn't going to be. I had to literally like heal. I had to like, and all that did, like I said, all it did, LaShonda, was it gave me like a false sense of confidence, gave me
Mhm.
a false sense of happiness. it made me feel like, oh, I'm over it. I'm doing better without you. And all that, in all reality, I was still hurting. I was still in pain. And
Mhm.
so I would never like, I hate that people think that that's the way that you have to get over someone is by,
Right.
you know, I need another one to get over the other one. No,
No,
absolutely not. Like,
doesn't go like that.
I don't let nobody make me feel bad. Even when I've been in like I said, in my dating process, and guys have pursued me, and there was opportunities where, like, I want to take it to the next step. I want a marriage. I think that I couldn't even do that to them because it would be under a false,
Pretense. Yeah.
yeah,
I
it would
understand.
be under bad
Bad,
motives.
yeah, bad
I would be
motives.
getting married for the wrong motives, girl.
Listen,
And
I am telling you, it's more. I think I just hate when people say, "Okay, just move on." Okay,
yeah,
when I decide to move on in my time, I mean, you've moved on physically, but
yeah,
mentally, you really have to train your mind to
yeah.
you got to refocus. You got to reinitiate. You got to do a lot of stuff over
A
because
soul tie has to be
it's a
broken
soul
first.
tie.
Yeah, you were
A lot of
literally in
people
a
don't
covenant
understand.
with somebody. I,
So
that's how I don't be understanding when people I don't love them no more. Blah blah blah. I don't be like. It took me a while because I literally like I I literally like wanted to be that person.
the devil want us to change and be of the world when we meet folks that's of the world.
Yeah. I think that when I wanted to be that way, Lashana, I wanted to be like, I don't care, I don't love no more. But my heart, I'm not like that. I'm not built like
Mhm,
that. I'm not, and I had to be okay with like not being like that and saying
mhm,
that like this was somebody that I loved. This was somebody that now I'm so thankful now that I'm in a place where there's still a love there, but it's not a love in that capacity anymore. Like
mhm.
I really work hard, like God sever the soul tie. But it took months for that. Like people think because a piece of paper got signed that like I don't know, it didn't like that didn't the reality set in that it's over legally because the paper has been signed, but like that didn't change the process. And because I was so quick to try to like do what other people were like, you need to move on, you need to move on. I ended up like in situationships that I shouldn't have never
Mhm.
been in. I ended up in, stuff that I never would have like thought like I would be in. So I just entertaining the wrong spirits, entertaining the wrong people. And like I said, I last year, this was first year post divorce where it was just a hot mess. But
Mhm.
last year, like I took a lot of time and I did a lot of work. But yeah, girl, I would never recommend that. I would
Yeah.
take as much time, ladies, guys, take as much time as you need. It's okay to have people that are there, like confidence, people that can encourage you. But I definitely would not encourage like jumping into something like immediately to like. I think it's okay to like unravel what you've gone through.
Right.
Take time to process. I had to
Mhm.
process, girl. It was a lot to process.
Yeah. So my very last question, outside of what we've discussed today, okay, what have you learned from your previous marriage? And this is specifically, what have you learned from your previous marriage that you now that you would apply to your future marriage?
There's a lot of stuff, girl.
That you would not.
Oh, you said things
Would
that
that
I
you
would
would
not.
that you would or you would not do.
Okay.
That's yeah.
I think that that's a good question. I think that like in my next marriage, I think when the Bible says love covers a multitude of sins, I
Mm-hmm.
think that you got to be quick to forgive
Mm-hmm.
and not hold on to stuff. Like I think that I think people have to realize that marriage is a spiritual covenant.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the world has made marriage like this world thing. Marriage was not created by the world, it was created by God.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you understand that it's more spiritual, it's a
Right.
spiritual thing that has taken place rather than like the world, like the worldly components of, I think that you will handle it in a spiritual manner. And I
Right.
think a lot of what I did was I fought something that was spiritual in the natural too much. I think
Mm-hmm.
that um, going into my next marriage, I definitely am gonna pray more. Like I, I think you gotta pray more. I think that I would grace and forgiveness and love. I think those are the biggest things that um, I think that we as women, me, my personality, I'm a solutionist. I
Mm-hmm.
love to like, it's just naturally in me. Like, you can't sit something in front of me. I'm a visionary as well. So my mind runs 100 miles a minute. You tell me something, and I've already thought of like 600,000 things. But in
Right.
marriage and when you're talking about the order of God, and you got to allow the man to be the man. So even if you see them about to get hit by a bus, and they want to get hit by the bus, let them get hit by the bus. Like I think for me, I'm just playing. I'm
I
playing.
mean,
That's a
I get what.
horrible analogy. But what I'm saying is that I was very vocal in my last marriage with things that I didn't approve of, or things that I didn't like, or things that I
Mhm.
saw like that I was trying like, and it was me trying to be protective. It was me trying to like solve problems. But I think as men, sometimes men don't want that. Like I'm learning like sometimes you got to let a man be a man, and um you don't have to like always like project or share how you know what I'm saying. Like I think that there was moments I could have just allowed, like I should have just prayed more instead of like vocalizing. Like if
Right.
I saw something or I noticed something, um using wisdom on when to speak and when not to speak about certain things. But I think the overall thing that I would probably just take away from it is just keeping God at the center.
Mm.
Um, yeah, keeping God at the center of my marriage, praying for my spouse daily, like even when you don't think that they, and not being moved by what I see. But like I said, fighting everything in the spirit. If there's something that I'm noticing, a change that I'm noticing, not always having to vocalize. I feel like, pray
Mm.
about it. I ain't God. It ain't nobody like God. God can whoop a man,
Right.
and ain't nobody can whoop him like God can.
Mhm.
But I just think that in my next marriage, um, I think that God's going to give me somebody that sees the value in me.
Mhm.
So they won't take like my advice or like my as trying to lead or
Right.
be in control. But I also think that like there's a better way that I can express, a better way that I can give a man the chance to lead.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot that I can say. But I think that those are probably the biggest ones. That being slow to anger, always
Right.
forgiving, like um, forgiving just as fast as the offense happened. Because I
Right.
nothing good comes when you're holding.
Hold
Like
it. Right.
it just is not. It's not. It's just not. It's not gonna work. You gotta
Mhm.
forgive.
Yeah.
You gotta understand that that individual is a human being. All of us are. All of us are at some point aren't going to show up as our best selves. And
Mhm.
so grace, extending love, extending forgiveness, and more importantly, just staying true to me. Like I think that in marriage you get so, like I said, we're women, we're givers by nature. Like we
Mhm.
want to give so much of ourselves, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that that is so important, like in a marriage, because you're serving the other individual. But I think that there has to be a part of you that also remembers who you are, and even though you're becoming one,
Mhm.
remember what God has placed into you. That
Right.
there's a responsibility to your marriage, there's responsibility to your kids and your family, but there's also a responsibility for you to manage what God has placed into you as well. And so
Right.
just, but I would encourage everybody, pray a lot
Yes.
when you're
Yes.
married. Pray separately, but come together and pray often, as
Oh,
often as you need to. Um, and just marriage is beautiful. I think marriage is beautiful. I'm like I said, I'm not no marriage expert. Um, there's a lot that like I learned from my marriage that like I feel like it's making me like a better person. Like I'm more patient, I'm more empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that anything that you're trying to have longevity in, like
Right.
anything that like with longevity is you have to be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you have to forgive
Right. I
and you
think,
have to
yeah.
yeah, and literally like you have to love and you have to forgive and you have to extend grace even when you feel that your partner doesn't deserve it or
Mm-hmm.
whatever the case may be. Like that's who you vowed to be with for the rest of your life. And so not holding stuff over their head or situations, you know. um but you know, God is good. um Keep God at the center, marry for the right reasons. And when you talk about motives, you know, making sure that your heart is in the right place, you know.
Place. Right.
Yeah, marriage is no, if you're gonna be selfish, it's not gonna last. I always will be selfless. You have to be selfless.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and I do agree, and I do thank you for sharing that as well. And you've given me a lot more insight as you have previously as well.
Yeah.
I'm glad what I think most important is keeping healthy relationships and boundaries, whether you're prior to
Absolutely.
marriage, in marriage, or either after marriage.
Yeah.
People have the misconception that, once you divorce, that there is no longer a need, there's no longer a requirement to communicate or to get along or to just be, sane individuals.
Hmm.
And I think that that's very important for both exes to understand that
Absolutely.
it's absolutely okay for us to move on and be happy, or to have start over and have a new life. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
I
I think that if you truly love Lashana somebody, like um when I the biggest thing is that if you really like actually love someone, and this is when you know someone, even if they're not with you, you
Mhm.
still want what's best for them.
For them,
And
right?
absolutely.
The
Like
best though. You gotta want the best, because, and I say the best because you gotta think your children
absolutely.
co-parent, you know what I'm saying? So you want the best for them,
Absolutely.
because what who they're tied to, your children are now tied to, I
Absolutely.
don't want I had this thing where it's just like, because my girls, they absolutely love their father, you know what I'm
Yes.
saying? But
Mine's a
it's just
door.
like, when you can't sit down and have a conversation between all of the step parents and the parents in general, when you can't get that, causes and poses a problem. You know what I'm saying? Especially on my end, because it still lets me know that if you can't communicate here, then there's a problem with you with my children, and I would want and hope that my ex-spouse would be happy and could be able to co-parent, and we could be able to communicate. And we've had this conversation about co-parenting and communicating, and just about respect overall. Like, if you give me respect, then I would return the same. That's,
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? That's just being an adult. That's adulting. You don't have to be upset. You don't have to be mad. You don't have to be angry. You don't have to
Absolutely.
down talk one another. I don't have to do it to him, because my children love their father. And, I know that they want that relationship. I want that relationship with them.
I
But
think you're gonna always be family. So
right,
like I think that has to be established. Like there's always gonna be that connection. Those are your kids' father. Those
right,
are my kids' father. There's always gonna be that connection. We're never gonna not be in a place, even when they're grown and they're making decisions, they're getting married. There's gonna always be some sort of communication or some sort of connection or relationship. So I think like you're hitting it on a nail. Like it's about one establishing boundaries. But I remember a little after my what your name my divorce, I remember writing a message, and I was like, I don't ever want my happiness to be fueled off of seeing him fail or him be unhappy because
Right.
we're not together. Like I'm not built like that. Like
Right.
that doesn't make me happy. Like it wouldn't make me happy seeing him suffering because we didn't make it. Like I just like I'm just not like that. Like I just and I don't think that it's healthy for people to have that. Like because some people get satisfaction after seeing like, oh look, he's struggling, he did see that. Like
Mm-mm.
no, like if you truly love somebody, and this is for people I'm talking about, that's like you could be hurt, you could be angry. I had my moments, like I had my
Yeah.
moments, but I think that when it boils down to it, like life is life, man. Life be life, and just grieve, do what you have to do
Right.
to start over. Um, make peace with yourself, make peace with the situations. A lot of times it had nothing to do with you, absolutely nothing. A lot
Right.
of times it might have been some, you know what I'm saying? But you have to make peace. And I think because I'm in a place where I know that God is absolutely ordering my steps, I
Right.
know that my life is my life is my life, and it's the life that God has given me.
Mhm.
I don't have to look back and be like it should have been, would have been, could have been. Like I
Right.
literally accept and I embrace
Except
what
what
it
it
was.
is.
Yes, I embrace it for what it was,
Mhm.
and I take accountability for the place that I could like where I could have been better. But I'm
Mhm.
not going to hold myself hostage
Hostage. Right.
to what you understand what I'm saying. So
Mhm.
I think that I love what you're saying. Like it's about boundaries. It's about moving on. Um, I don't want nothing that I'm building to be built off of bitterness of trying to
Right.
prove something to somebody. Like, no, I just don't want.
Mhm.
I don't want my happiness to be fueled by trying to prove something to
Mhm.
somebody because that's operating out of a
Mhm.
unhealed space. And I
Unhealed
was in that space my first year when I was just working, trying to make up for lost time,
Right.
working, trying to show that I'm okay. And you burn out that way. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Like it'll eventually catch up with
Mhm.
you. Your unhealed self will show up in other areas of your life. You'll start, it'll show up through other behaviors.
Mhm.
So you know, I think that, you know, um being okay, being okay with and I and get grieving. I'm gonna just go back. Give yourself enough time to grieve.
To grieve.
Don't
Right.
stay in that place. I mean, continue to do what you got to do. Don't stay in that place of being sad and all of that. But if you have your moments, allow yourself to feel it, allow yourself to experience it,
Mhm.
go through it, and then shake yourself off and say, okay, you know what? I had me a good little cry today, and I'm on to the next. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because it is what it is. But
Mhm.
I thank God I am no longer in that place. I have moments where I look at my kids and they're very much like, so it's beautiful. Like I see the
Mhm.
beauty in it, in all of it. Um, and it is what it is. I'm in a good place. And
Yes.
I pray for everyone's healing. Like I pray
Yes.
that it doesn't mean I'm in a perfect place, but I'm
Mhm.
definitely in a lot better place than I
Place that
was
you are. Right.
almost 3 years ago. So yeah, September 3 years. So I'm definitely like in a better place. But
Right. All right. Well, it's been an honor, honey. When I tell
yeah,
you it's I have had the you like I said, you always give me more inspiration. Not just tonight, it's been over the years that we've been talking about our similar situations. So
yeah,
it has allowed me to heal like past a lot. And like I said, everything that's surrounded, even around my children, is something that I have to enjoy the presence of just being here on earth. Like
yeah,
that's a part of you, it's a part of me, so it's a part of you.
yes,
And I have to embrace it. So we have to learn to accept those things that we cannot change. That
yeah,
doesn't mean that we have to be continue to dwell or wallow in mud or in dirt or insanity. We don't have to continue to do that. But when it is your turn, and I, as I talk with Kierra, I'm talking to the audience as well. When your time comes, you know, just embrace the moment, and like she said, keep prayer. Prayer needs to be the number one key. That's the number one aspect to any type of
absolutely.
relationship or marriage building. I truly do thank God for the opportunity to experience the downfalls that I've had to experience, because it's made me who I am today. Um,
You got to experience the beauty of marriage.
mhm,
Don't forget that.
yeah.
And you got to experience the other side of it. But
Mhm,
I think that like look at it as a beautiful life experience. And
mhm,
that's what I choose to focus on, that it was a beautiful life
right,
experience that I took a ton of lessons away from.
right, right.
And yeah, because it's not a downfall. It's a beautiful life experience. Y'all have the evidence of that beauty because how many you said? 7 children,
I have
Jesus.
7,
You
honey.
got seven
Two for my
seven evidence.
yeah, but and and I, believe it or not, I did it. And I'm a strong woman anyway, so
Yeah,
it doesn't take, like, there's barely anything that can break me. I mean, I'm just okay with my situation. Is like, for one, I'm used to it, and then for two, I always get through it,
yeah.
and I'm
You're
gonna
so
make.
resilient.
Yes, so it really doesn't even bother me anymore. I learned to pray for people and allow God to fight the battles for me. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? I don't go and put my 2 cents in, because when I put my little bit in, then I mess it up every time.
Girl beef.
So I just learned to let go and let God, honey. And I just continue to be me, continue to just love and show people love. I still speak to people. I don't have to, walk past and be all angry with, I could say that I've healed from a lot of that. It
I
used
was about to say that's the
I've
beauty of
healed.
it.
Yes.
When you can see them and like I just oh God,
Mm-hmm.
it's a beautiful thing. And I think that there has to be a part of us that displays Christ's love
Mm-hmm.
like somebody has to see it, you
Mm-hmm.
know, somebody has to see it. And so
Yeah.
what didn't kill you made you stronger, right?
Made me stronger, baby. Well, I thank you so much for again joining me tonight with Marriage
Woo!
Motives. And we have gotten some great feedback and insight on motives to marry, or what your intentions are to marry and to be in a marriage, to remain married. So, you all, if you want to go ahead, I would appreciate if you all. This is Kierra Anderson. She is on social media, Facebook platform. If you want, she is a realtor. She is a
Yes, hit me
business
up.
owner. Uh, I be talking so fast.
Call me, beat me
But
if you want to reach me.
yes, if you want to contact her, or reach her, you can hit her up on social media, Facebook. She's up under Kierra Anderson. Okay. She does have a spa, a children's spa in Ocala. What is the address to the spa?
3855 East Super Springs Boulevard, Suite 106,
Yes, and she's
Ocala, Florida.
okay. It's in Ocala. She also has a mobile spa bus. So if you're wanting her to come to you, she can also come to you with the spa bus. She can bring the party to you, bring the spa to you at the party. So y'all, we want to go ahead and make sure that we are supporting. We do want to make sure that we're advertising as well and supporting our local businesses. She is
Yes.
great at what she does. The number one, she's a great realtor, honey. If you need it sold or purchased, you need to hit up the Anderson Home Group, because this is the lady that's gonna make it happen. Okay, there's so many other different things that she is, honey. The list will go on and on and on and on. But we have already been about 2 hours on this live.
Have we really? Oh my
Yes,
God, it's
listen, great,
9:45.
great conversation. So we will, again, we will have Mrs. Anderson back probably in about a month or so.
Let
Uh,
me tell you something. Don't have me back talking about no marriage,
no,
okay?
we're not talking about marriage.
Let me come back with a ring on my finger and be
Yes,
like, listen here.
yes. Let's talk about engagement. Yes,
Listen,
but I don't
I
know.
just want to like say this. Marriage is absolutely beautiful.
It
And
is
if you
beautiful.
are in a marriage, stay committed to it, man.
Right.
Stay committed.
Yes,
Because on the other side of it, divorce is ghetto. I'm just
it
telling
is.
y'all, it is not cute.
And it's not
It's
for
not
you.
cute. But I'm praying for
Yes.
y'all, those that are married that tuned in tonight out. I'm praying for y'all. I know we're in a season right now where marriages are being challenged out of this world. Divorces are happening left and right. So I am praying for y'all. I'm praying for y'all families. The enemy does not like the union of marriage because of what it represents. So I'm just praying that God gives y'all the strength, the endurance, the
Mhm.
love, to stay committed to your families, to stay committed to your spouses. And for those that are single, I'm just going to leave y'all with this. Enjoy your single season. Because let me tell you, if there's one thing going through a divorce taught me and coming out of a marriage, marriage is hard work. So don't be in no rush. I promise you, don't be in no rush because it's ghetto too. So enjoy
Right.
your single season. Enjoy getting to know yourself, loving yourself, and in God's timing and due season. Like it will happen for you when you least expect that. But the more you put into yourself and you invest in yourself and you becoming a better person, you will attract
Mhm.
everything it is that you're desiring in your life. And I
Yeah.
believe that on Mary Had a Little Lamb. So
Yes. And Jesus sandals.
and Jesus
Okay.
sandals, honey.
Yes, honey. So without further ado, we are going to go ahead and we are going to wrap up Talks with the Lady. Again, I
Yes.
thank you all for watching us. Yes.
Yes.
And I thank you all for watching us and making sure that you support us as well. All right, Kierra, I love you, girl. And we will
I love
talk
you
soon.
too.
And I look forward to more great news, more accomplishment,
Yes.
more future endeavors because I'm gonna be right there to support you every step of the way. Okay.
I appreciate you, Love Bug. I appreciate you.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. And you guys have a wonderful night, okay?
All right. Have a good night. We love you.
Bye.
Bye bye.